Greetings, welcome to Jefficho Films. This 2019 sci-fi thriller reminds me a lot of The Thing, but, it's set on water, so slightly different premise. Well, let's review Sea Fever. The movie starts out with beautiful underwater shot and someone falling in, poor diving technique, and we see it several other times throughout the movie, making you think like this is the ending and we're seeing it at the start of the movie and then you'll remember it later, but nobody jumps into the water the same. So there's a party at this college campus and Siobhán is head just buried in research. She's supposed to be on a boat and a professor comes by and basically has to push her out the door.
It's in totally the wrong place.
No, you are in totally the wrong place. What time are you supposed to be on board?
3? But this is important, Professor.
And your doctorate isn't.
She's a scientist and she's gonna go do some research on a fishing trawler. And she gets there and we meet the crew. And Gerard owes some of his crew some money and he promises to make it up to them. Omid has a baby coming, so he's kind of reliant on it. Siobhán explains what she does to Freya. She's gonna need to take some pictures and do a short dive. And Sudi and the captain notice that she has red hair, which is bad luck.
Fucking hell, man.
Well, she's pleased to meet you too, mate.
Does the skipper know about this?
Does now?
They get underway and Johnny shows her to her bunk. Apparently they'll be sharing a room. It's 4 beds and it's 3 on 3 off shift work with 2 hours sleep, so. Freya has a picture of a little girl in her locket. I think her and Gerard had a daughter. Had being the operative word. Omid shows her the water filtration thing he designed and she thinks he's too smart to be working there. She gets set up with her laptop and books and Ciara asks her if she's too hot.
Mother of Jesus. A redhead. Take that thing off you. You're here now. We'd better get used to you.
Freya talks to the Coast Guard and they tell her there's an area they have to stay away, an exclusion zone, which coincidentally is where all the fish are, so they're really kind of screwed for their journey right now. And then Siobhán continues to be socially awkward and then she does a little montage of just doing research and everything, and then later Freya shows her a glow at the back of the boat.
It's bioluminescent phytoplankton.
It's one of the stories of Niamh Kinor. She was so sad about losing her lover, Oisín. She gave herself to the sea.
They get some whales swimming around them, which is kind of a hint because, they said there was whales swimming in the exclusion zone, but of course they didn't go there. Siobhán senses something and then they hit something, and I like her jeans.
Siobhán!
Hey, something's changing the texture of the wood.
Something is changing the texture of the hull, and she could poke a hole through it. Freya tries calling the Coast Guards, but no response. Gerard totally took them into an exclusion zone. Siobhán's trying to get a sample of it. Gerard actually rips off some of the hull, and you can kind of see it, make it out. It's like a subspecies of barnacle, he thinks. And he tells her that she should cut it off the hull when she does her dive. Why would you do your dive now? This is not the time. She jumps in and we see luminescent tentacles attached to the ship, so she tries cutting one off, and then she's mildly attacked by one. Also, if she cut one off, there's going to be a sizable hole in the hull, and they're going to have to patch that up pretty quick. Also, when she looks down, there's like some sort of creature, almost squid-like, but it's glowing. She freaks and goes back up and tries to describe it. Gerard thinks it's a squid and gets excited. That will go away. They decide to use the nets and try and capture it, but it's too heavy to bring it up with the nets. And Johnny cuts his hand on a machine, and it's bad. Siobhán spots another boat, and so they fire off a flare, and Gerard's worried about sharing the profits. Dude, you're not even gonna make it out of this alive, I wouldn't worry. So they end up taking a rowboat over to it. They get on board, and I think we know what we're gonna find. Like maybe one guy at best, and he'll be stir crazy. They end up going down into the ship, and it's dark. There's no lights working. There's a little fire. Gerard puts it out, and they hear music, and they head to the mess. And everybody's just sitting around the table dead. A lot of them have incisions on their chest, and one guy has his eyes out. They head back and say that the ship had their own problems and can't help them out. No, it's not technically a lie. And then suddenly they get released from the creature, which doesn't quite make sense. Then we're teased with a large mass heading towards the boat, and Gerard thinks he can net it, because if they don't, well, they'll lose the boat. They can't just head back, they have to have something. They net a bunch of fish and then they pack it up. I mean, if you watched any fishing on Discovery Channel, you know that this is not exactly how it happens. Like, it is day and night, constant. That's crab fishing, I guess I've been watching. Regular fishing, I guess you just catch it once and then you're done. Because that's how they were acting. They were all excited. Siobhán notices there's more green ooze on the ship. She asks Johnny if this is as bad as it's ever been. He said he's seen worse. And tells her to relax.
Best catch we've had in months. That luck streak's finally over. It was a beat. We already took a shower. Look at you, man. I need to protect my good luck here.
Johnny, your auntie said you're on kitchen duty tonight.
Yep, sounds about right.
Hey, you guys okay?
In that scene, we notice Siobhán is bloody hot. Johnny's overheating, he might have a fever, and they sit with the crew and have dinner, and everybody has a good time. Johnny says let's go for a swim, you know, maybe he wants to go skinny dipping with this girl, but nobody does that in that ocean. That's insane. Why would you even do that with a creature? He's lost his rationality, like the guys on the other boat. So they stop him. And then she looks into his eyes with a flashlight, and she sees something in it, because he's infected. Sudi takes a shower while Johnny's in pain, and his eyes are starting to hurt, and he goes blind. He loses his vision. And then his eyes explode, and little parasites hit the sink, and she covers his eyes, but they're gone and he's dead.
Take it easy.
Let me see. Let me see.
I can't see.
These little larva parasites have infiltrated the water systems, and Sudi's taking a shower and they start to come out and attack him, and he's got little cuts and everything. They also put Johnny in storage, in the cold storage. And then they check the water filtration and all the filters have been eaten through. So they go down to the main tank so that she can identify them. Siobhán says saltwater larvae should be dead in fresh water in a few hours, so they'll check it then. Sudi talks about how he's all bandaged up and he's just like, oh, this girl that I like doesn't even know my name. Well, you're gonna die here, son, so she's never gonna know who you are. Also, they check the tank and it's not good. They have a pointless wake for Johnny when they should just be hauling ass back. Siobhán starts doing tests and Sudi's not doing well. 30 hours till they're home and Siobhán thinks they'll all be infected by then. She wants to electrocute the boat and the surrounding waters. It's dangerous. I mean, it could destroy the engines or light a fire on the boat. But it's either that or, you know, probably get infected and die. So they do it. And the little figure at the front of the boat lights on fire, but it goes out quickly enough. Still upsets Freya. I think it's because it looks like that girl in the locket, which was her kid. But they never actually tell us about that. Siobhán says they should wait 36 hours and make sure they're clear and quarantine themselves where I've heard that before, and so that they don't infect others. And Freya says, we're making port tonight. Siobhán's all about self-sacrifice, kind of like McCready in The Thing. I mean, she doesn't want to die, but if it's for the betterment of man, I guess. Sudi's blind now. You better stay away from his eyes, they might explode. Ciara sees him die, and they put his body next to Johnny's, and we get another reading from that book in memory of Sudi.
God is with us, and we will not be removed.
Siobhán is being rational while the others are kind of against quarantine, so she takes a line and she throws it into the engine and sabotages the boat, and then she admits to it, and Ciara doesn't take it well.
I disable the boat.
Hey! What the fuck, Siobhán?
Come over the side.
We've all got cuts.
We killed the eggs.
We could have got infected before that.
So we get help.
There is no help.
She sort of gets through to them, and Freya wants her to test them. Yay, more flashlight tests to the eyes, because that's conclusive. She'd do a blood test or something. Well, she does the flashlight test, and Gerard's like, well, you haven't done me yet.
I don't need to do you.
Oh God,
It's okay, it's okay. It's all right.
He's infected, and then he admits to changing the course, so he's kind of the cause of all this. Ciara might not be infected, a lot of the flashlight to the eye examination that's so conclusive, but she is crazy. She follows Siobhán up the ladder, and she's trying to kill her, so Siobhán kicks her, and she falls and lands on her back, and I think she dies. And then a little larva comes out of her eye, so she was infected. The flashlight test is inconclusive. Gerard asks Freya to kill him because he doesn't want to go through any of the suffering, and she does. I mean, she hesitates, but she still does it, so... Siobhán sees the body, and Freya takes the rowboat. It's gonna take her like 3 days to get to land. So that's a bit ridiculous. She did leave them with an inflatable boat though, so they're good. Also, that saltwater larva thing is making a lot of noise, and they know about it. They decide to heat the tank, and it goes through the hull, so the boat's kind of sinking. So they decide to light it on fire, get in some wetsuits, and take the rubber dinghy. And Omid is afraid because he can't swim.
I can't swim!
Apparently he can't go down a ladder either, and he falls in the water, and the creature grabs him, so she has to dive in and save his ass. And she does, but that thing still touched him, so... Coast Guard boat is almost there, but Siobhán sees that she has a huge cut on her hand and thinks that she's infected. So she says goodbye and she jumps in the water and swims down to the glowy blue squid-like creature. That's not a fun way to go. I mean, for one, you're gonna drown. Two, it's gonna eat you. Probably slowly like a sarlacc pit, I would say. And then Omid's waving at the Coast Guard ship and it's gonna pick him up. But chances are he's infected. So you just killed the world, buddy. The end. I thought this was kind of a cool movie. It's a lot like The Thing, and they could have gone in a lot of directions. I mean, on the other ship, like, everybody had the same chest wound, so I thought, okay, there's a creature and it was feeding on them and just eating off of their chest or whatever. So, like, maybe they just all killed each other over there with the exact same type of wound. I don't get that. But, like, the whole idea of the crew going mad and killing off each other was really good. I wish it kind of happened on this boat a bit more. It was just like Ciara that was trying to do it, so, you know, screw that girl. This movie had some established actors, and it had Connie Nielsen, and she played Freya, and she did a pretty good job. And Dougray Scott played Gerard. I remember him from Mission Impossible 2. Yeah, maybe you didn't like Mission Impossible 2, but he was still cool in it. I was super impressed with Hermione Corfield. I thought she was pretty awesome in this. I'm totally going to review Slaughterhouse Rules with her because, you know, I want to see more of this girl. In the end, you have an isolated thriller with people that have the fate of the world in their hands and they probably shouldn't go back to society, but wouldn't you? If you were sick, you just want to get your ass to a hospital and take care of yourself. And there's a lot of messages in this. I mean, it was done long before this bloody outbreak, so it's really got nothing to do with that. Somebody said it had something to do with global warming, but who knows? I'm not looking for metaphors in this. I'm looking for monsters, and we got one. It was killing people. It wasn't aboard the ship killing people. I mean, its larva was, but I don't know. Cool movie. I think you should check it out. Yeah. It's kind of intelligent too. She studied behavioral patterns, so that's how she could recognize a lot of things in it. So that's a nice little twist.
Can you make a UV light?
Why?
Other halopelagic species, well, their spawn, you can kill it with intense UV light.
Oh, it worked out pretty good. Yeah, I think you should totally check it out. Anyways, thanks for watching.